Good morning, members of the high table, distinguished personalities. I want to use this special opportunity to say good morning to all of you. Dr. Ekundayo Walton Gilpin, who was meant to address this gathering, is unavoidably absent due to some other official duties he is attending to currently outside the country. I am Aruna Dumbuya, the head of Public Relations, Department of Local Commercial Bank. Of course, today we are here for this launching program ceremony. This is a program that should have been done some time ago, but due to some unforeseen circumstances, it did not hold. So considerably, I want to thank the leadership of FECAS for this wonderful opportunity. And I also want to say that Dr. Gilpin sends his apology and best wishes to the organizers of this program. Before I actually step into some discussions of climate change, I'd like to tell of course, Local Commercial Bank is a household name in Sierra Leone. The bank has existed now for about 24 years, since 1999 to date. The bank has about 17 branches to date. We have 12 outlets. But however, as we are here and there to complement government efforts, we also try as best as possible to understand the key policies and the policy documents of this country. So that is why we try as best as possible to have the financial space that best befits for the people of this country. So let me just quickly make reference of one fine document in Sierra Leone. That's the National Strategy for Financial Inclusion, especially the one that spanned from 2022 to 2026. There are 3 priority interventions in that document. The very first one is the one that relates to the provision of the appropriate clientele for the customer base of people in this country and for those that are coming outside of this country. But considerably, when we consider that, we have been providing the necessary banking infrastructure, especially when we consider the traditional products. The second one is looking at the digital platform and digital provision for people in this country, because it is taking the center stage. Everything is being digitized now or digitalized, more especially when innovation is taking the center stage. So that is why, as a bank, we have tried as best as possible to put mechanisms in place to see how best we can be on the competitive stage and edge, and to match competitive platforms out of Sierra Leone. On that note, we introduced the Local SIM Copper Plus, which is very much advantageous for all of us. That is why if you are not part of it, it's better we try to join the Local Commercial Bank so that we can all be together and let us make use. The reason for that platform is that we want people to be at their comfort zone and do their banking transactions. That is why to date, we are seeing all those who are making use of that Local SIM Copper platform. They have their comfort zone, they buy extra top-up. They have their comfort zone, they buy, orange money, Afri money, and things like that. Considerably, you can also be in place to make transfers from one bank to another bank, which is very much advantageous through the Local SIM Copper Plus. Additionally, there are times when people may leave their bank cards behind. You can also generate a code from the SIM Copper Plus. You go to one of our ATMs, you can access cash. These are all additional platforms to ensure that we bring people closer, and so that we make people be financially included in Sierra Leone. One of the reasons is that when we look at the unbanked population in the country, it's so great. It's up to 70%. So that is why, apart from Local Commercial Bank, other financial players, all of us have this opportunity to tap into that. And to ensure we achieve that objective, we should not just concentrate in the center side of the country. That is why we go to hard to reach terrains, so that we make banking reach the doorsteps of people in hard to reach terrains. And some of these strategies, we are putting them in place to bring people on board and financially included. The very third one in that document is the financial literacy, financial education. Considerably, over the years, it's something that we have been doing. That is why you can see, or you have been seeing, the managing director and CEO of the bank. He has been taking the center stage. He has been doing public lectures, both local and international. All these are ways of interpreting and putting into action some of these documents. So, as a bank, we just don't limit our activities into providing financial services and services for people in this country. We extend our arms by looking at key documents, as I mentioned. Considerably, we have seen a very fine documents which have been set globally to ensure that we have a better world by 2030. That's the SDG, Sustainable Development Goals. When you look at the SDG documents, there are 17 goals there. Of course, the very first one, which is number 1, is very much key to end poverty. And we move in that chronological step to end hunger, conservation of well-being, looking at, fair and equitable distribution of education, conservation of women. These are all fine factors that will make the world a better place. If you jump and move to SDG 8, which specifically states or make mention of financial inclusion and inclusivity, that is something we are very much concerned of as well. Because as a key financial player, we want everybody to be on board. So as a bank, we try as best as possible to bring people on board. Considerably, we have looked at all these activities and we have seen the current trend happening in the world. And we know how important it is for climate change action, sustainable development and sustainability issues. That is why when we look at one fine document in Sierra Leone, that's the Midterm National Development Plan, the one that spans from 2019 to 2023. There are 8 cluster policies there, but 3 are so important and very much vital to our existence. That's cluster 5, 6, and 7. Of course, the 5 is looking at the gender equality, but again, considering it has been captured in the Gender Equality and Women Empowerment Act of Sierra Leone, more especially when there is that cognizance of the 30% quota for inclusion and inclusivity of all women and for them to be in power of trust or position of trust. Considerably, as a bank, we try as best as possible to exceed all these thresholds. That is why we're working assiduously behind doors. We keep working every now and then. It's like having the digital space. We know there are shortfalls sometimes, but we work again to clear those things because we want everybody to be involved and to be on board. When we look at the cluster 8 in the midterm national development, it specifically make mention of environmental resilience. And if you look at this environmental resilience, it is closely related or aligned to the SDG goals. More especially if you look at SDG 13, which calls for the urgent action and need for us all to see how best we can combat climate change. It's so important that you take cognizance of that. Additionally, the SDG 15 is also looking at the great importance of how best we can contribute to environmental resilience. Looking at all these documents, that is why it is not today, since 2019, we established the tree planting site of Local Commercial Bank at Mesaka. We have planted several trees. We have supported several climate change programs. We maintain these tree planting sites in response to some of these key important documents. Of course, on the 27th of July this year, 27th of July 2023, we celebrated the 4th anniversary of our tree planting sites there. These are all urgent actions we are taking to ensure that we meet the needs, because we have been seeing the depletion, the degradation, the cutting down of trees. We have seen the global warming, and we have seen how important all of these factors are to ensure that we try as best as possible to contribute to make the world a better place, because this stage has been set by international partners, more especially by 2030. We expect to see the world to be a better place. And if we want to see the world to be a better place, ladies and gentlemen, I want to use this special opportunity to say to all of us, it's our responsibility to take this at heart and let us be very much responsive to all these kind of things. If you have the opportunity to plant a tree at your backyard, try as best as possible to do it. There are so many good things in life that tree planting does. That is why today we're not just talking about the ordinary trees, we're also looking at economic trees as well. Because when I look at the program of FECAS, I notice that the third factor has been captured. That's the food security. Climate action, environmental issues, and the food security. So basically, we're going to look again, we'll dive into economic trees, because these are providing food security for us in the world. Considering, when I look at these documents related to food security, I have seen that Africa alone, we are spending so much money on the importation of rice, and these are something that are impeding our progress. So we have to get up, we have to wake up, we have actions to take. We spend about over $6 billion, Africa. And imagine, West Africa alone is accounting for $4 billion. Sierra Leone is accounting for well over 300 million. Considerably, in fact, that's a prior year analysis. When you look at the current year analysis, in fact, some older researchers are saying that the number has doubled. West Africa alone is accounting for about 13 billion in current year. So all of these things, if we can save all this cash, our lives can be better. We have greater responsibility in life. That is why I'm very much pleased. I feel honored, elated to be part of this program. Sometimes we have been at our own point, doing our job, doing our work, but we have several other responsibilities. Considerably, we have responsibility towards our corporate social responsibility. We have been engaging on several activities to better the lives of people in Sierra Leone. I also want to use this opportunity because there are maybe so many other speakers. On behalf of the board and the management of Freetown Commercial Bank, with special reference to the Managing Director and CEO, Dr. Ekuna Gilpin, I want to assert and tell you that today, if you hear about any success stories of Freetown Commercial Bank, it's all as a result of the leadership. He's so resilient. See our MD, he's so resilient, so passionate, very much dedicated, tireless, unwavering. That is why some of us have similar energy when we come out there. So on behalf of the board and management of the bank, I want to use this special opportunity to thank the management and the leadership of FECAS. I also want to thank other partners that are here for taking this program to be very much serious. I want to thank you all for witnessing this program. Thank you very plenty, and we stop here for the moment.
Let's give another round of applause. The trend has actually changed. Now we have private sector investment into climate action, which I think is important. That private sector is taking space. And Freetown Bank, we have been doing great work. If you go to my 91, you can see thousands of hectares of trees that have been planted. And this is helping the country's rise in reforesting areas that have been degraded. So I really want to tell the representative from the Commercial Bank a big thank you. For the exigency of time, we need to at least reduce the talking point to at least 3 minutes per speaker. So we can actually make progress. But going forward, I would like to use this opportunity to call up the representative or the chairman for the Presidential Initiative on Environment, Renewable Energy and Food Security. Any representative here? Okay, so we move on to the next point, to the representative or the Minister of Agriculture. Okay, so the next point, can we get the representative from the Sierra Leone Rice Observatory? Any representative here? Representative from Sierra Leone Rice Observatory. Okay, so the next point, we want to use the opportunity to call upon the representative from ActionAid. Yeah. This, you have 3 minutes. Yeah. 3 minutes.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Climate justice cannot be achieved by one individual or one organization. So I think this is a laudable initiative to see a movement like this that is here to push climate action. For ActionAid Sierra Leone, we're seeing the impact of climate change on our communities and our community women, and we're very much passionate about finding sustainable solutions to climate change in Sierra Leone. We have been engaging in awareness days in our various communities, even during the celebration of COP28 and World Environment Day. And recently we partnered with another organization called Shout Climate. We were also recognized for our work on climate change. Moving forward, we intend to do a study on agroecology as a sustainable means of agriculture. And at the federation level, we have launched a campaign for climate justice, which is our Fund Our Future campaign. And we also launched a study called How Does Finance Flow, which will look at banks financing things that harm our environment rather than financing climate action. So we are glad that there's a movement like this, and we believe you'll be always here to support all our initiatives. Thank you.
Yes, so let's give another round of applause. So now we have a QEP there that talks about inclusion. So that's the female voice. So we take away from our statement, ActionAid have been involved greatly on climate change issues, and they recently launched a report on debt relief, debt recovery. How countries like Sierra Leone can also bring in climate actions in exchange for debt. And they are highly much involved in climate change. So I really want to thank ActionAid for that brief statement. But for the next speaker, we believe that we cannot achieve climate change issues without the front estates. Because we believe the media has a great role to play in propagating the messages and advocacy, giving us a platform to discuss issues on climate change. So, without wasting much time, I'd like to call on the representative from the media to give a brief statement. give a round of applause for the contestants.
Good morning. We are still in the morning, and Musa Sumar is my name. Working with the Democracy Radio in 6.1, and also founder Disaster Risk Reduction Network of Australian journalists that encompasses environmental issues, and also representing Australia on the Disaster Risk Reduction Network of African Journalists platform. To deliver on behalf of his senior colleague, Al Williams of the Australian Broadcasting Corporation, who was supposed to deliver, who is not here, and he's been part of several organizations, which one of them is the organization that I recently formed, which is the Disaster Risk Reduction Network of Australian Journalists. You might be tempted to ask, who are we? Well, in summary, the Disaster Risk Reduction Network of Australian Journalists is an association of journalists and communicators working in the field of disaster risk reduction, humanitarian response, and climate change mitigation in Sierra Leone. We network with institutions working on climate change, disaster risk reduction. We organize workshops, seminars, and networking with journalists across the country to ensure we report on environmental issues adequately. We have at least by now 35 members across. Our perspectives, our stories are distinct from general news story. We tell the story, but also we did not only tell the story, but we also tell how the stories are being told. Who is telling it, and the challenges those journalists experience. We offer a peek into the life of journalists reporting on disasters and climate change reduction. We also provide insight into the challenges journalists in Australia face, as well as resources and opportunities that we hopefully support journalists to provide their reporting skills and expand their reach. This is key because as we speak, we know COP28 is ongoing, and as I told you earlier, I am working or representing Sierra Leone on the Disaster Risk Reduction Network of African Journalists. I collaborate with colleagues around Africa. In the Gambia, we have Kisel TV, we call it PTV, and other points newspapers. I talk with colleagues. We are now in Dubai reporting on climate issues. Colleagues from Namibia, Zambia, Tanzania, Malawi, Kenya, Nigeria, Liberia, Guinea, Senegal. But I can't remember if there's any journalist from Australia now reporting on climate issues at COP28. Opportunities are not there. The support are not there. The networking is poor, and the knowledge in reporting environmental issues amongst journalists is low, and the interest is low. In Sierra Leone, in the newsroom, what more is important is political stories. Environmental stories are not more important. And what that means, environmental stories are important to our survival, because climate change can wipe out 20, 30 years or 50 years development program of government. So it is key that we prioritize climate change and also prioritize environmental issues. So when I was invited, or when I got the invitation from Edwabu, and he told me about the Federation of Environment, Climate Actions and Food Security, I was eager to come, considering the fact that they can be one of the partners that can support or that we can work with as network of journalists working on the disaster risk reduction and climate issues. So I'm happy to be here, and we want to ensure that climate issues are given credence, and journalists do cover climate issues not from the surface, but going deeper and talking to experts and having the opportunity to report on climate issues. I have abandoned a lot of stories because I don't have fun. Looking at the sinking islands look at Leone, we go to Konakiri, we go to, the last time I was talking to the proprietor for Seacoach, all the investments at Manara Beach has gone because of climate change and sand mining. But journalists are unable to report this story because there is lack of opportunities, lack of networking, lack of support. And I hope that the Federation on Environment, Climate Change and Food Security will be able to cement this gap and support journalists. And we are also pledging our commitment here as founder of the Disaster Risk Reduction Network of Training Journalists to ensure we work with this organization and report their activities and support them in their advocacy in ensuring that we cover climate change issues adequately in Sierra Leone. Thank you very much for your attention.
I think he deserves another round of applause. So he made salient points on environmental reporting. And this is the gap that FECAS is trying to bridge, to bring all the necessary players on board. Because we believe that when we bring these issues to the public, we will have the solutions. But if the issues are not reported, then it will be challenging for us to have the solution. But just be rest assured that the coming up with FECAS, we are not going to only embark on advocacy, but we will provide the technical guidance where there is gap to government institutions. Our own style of advocacy is not coming here to bash on governments. We will try to look at the gaps and try how we can able to work with our government to solve the issues, because climate change is not a one-man show. So I really want to take this opportunity to thank you for that brilliant speech. Without wasting much time, I want to use this opportunity to call on the representative from the Ministry of the Environment. The environment, the ministry is in charge of oversight. And we strongly believe that their voice is a big voice that can actually help us into propagating our set objectives and core values as a federation. So I would like to use this opportunity to call on Mr. Bremmer to give the keynote address of this occasion.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished guests on the high table, MDs, NGO, and FPOs present here who are contributing to climate change adaptation and mitigation actions, all present here. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here giving a keynote address on behalf of the Minister, together with my colleague, Mr. Yaya Mansari, Assistant Director of Commercial Forestry. We bring you greetings from the Ministry of Environment, especially the senior management team. Most of them are now in Dubai on the course. But before I did my keynote address, I was very much moved by local commercial bank and the environmental journalists that there are monies around us which we cannot access because maybe we have very little knowledge about the environmental actions. Thank you very much, local commercial bank. I have seen their handwork all over the nation. They are my research director. My colleague also mentioned about the platform. Environmental journalism, all what we are doing, people need to hear about it. But I'm also appealing that let there be practically feasible activities on the ground, and then the reporting must be justified. There are fundings around, like EU is now sponsoring us to do national forestry inventory. Maybe most of us we are not yet born. We don't know what we have. We don't know even what we have. The richest Sierra Leone have. If EU have not come into our aid, and if we in the ministry we have not manifested our profession, EU will just keep that fund. So I implore you also, before coming to give my keynote address on behalf of the minister, let us explore our potentials, our initiatives. Look at around your environment and see where you can intervene on fire prevention, fire management, prevention of turbidity, resilient environmental restoration. Thank you very much. I go now to the keynote address. On behalf of the ministry, we recognize the activities of the Federation on environment, climate actions, and food security. I appreciate they have added food security. And thus, appreciate the launching of the Federation today, for which we are representing the ministry. Minister of Environment and Climate Change, with support from government of Sierra Leone and donor partners, including EU and UNDP, in collaboration with other MDAs and NGOs, we are fighting uphill battle for adaptation to mitigate climate change impacts affecting Sierra Leone, especially with regards restoration of our fragile ecosystems under constant threat and fragmented landscapes. Due to overexploitation for livelihood. So it is because of the livelihood that we are just overexploiting, because there have not been formidable organizations like the Federation here, as you call it, as in FACET, to make sure that we really utilize our environment judiciously. Against this background, which I have mentioned, Minister of Environment in 2022 onto 2020 onto 2022 has undertaken nationwide tree planting operations, including one key terrestrial recreation program titled the National Tree Planting Program, NTPP. It was a project implemented in 16 geographical districts all over the nation. And guess what? The Federation of Environment, Climate Actions, and Food Security has played a pivotal role with success stories for delivering the national tree planting objectives, which is on record in the ministry, despite our challenges. According to field monitoring reports, of which I was a partner and a team leader, the Federation has been identified by the ministry as one of the early adopters to practically combat deforestation and land degradation with land use best practices such as agroforestry. So I don't doubt to see food security. Those are the activities they have embarked on. They adopted land use practices, to combat deforestation by reducing deforestation from agriculture, to minimize emission and increase forest cover as carbon sink. The activities encompasses appropriate land use best practices as a new organization compared to even parent ministries who are associated or concerned with agriculture. So you can see, as they added food security, agriculture is one of the activities that is contributing strictly to climate change impact because of subsistence farming, land clearing, with non-integrated land use best practices. So the Federation, they adopted agroforestry within all the areas I visited. They cultivated tree crops, economic trees, fruit trees, timber trees to get short, medium, and long-term benefits. Because when we are talking of tree planting, some people look at it as it is a long-term benefit, but forgetting that biodiversity conservation, when you increase the forest cover, after 2 years or 3 years with fast-growing trees, you can measure your area and say that if the Federation can put together all the ecosystems they have restored this year with their tree planting and measure the carbon sequestration that will occur over 5 years, maybe those forest stamps will not be just making constant money for them from the sale of carbon. Besides the fruits they'll be harvesting, besides the restoration of the catchment, besides the products from timber, and especially charcoal. Those knowledge, I think, we have to continue to look at that. Furthermore, there are activities encompassing what we call, such as the National Action Plan. We visited some areas where they converted grasslands into productive land, which is part of their contributions to the nationally determined conditions. The Ministry of Environment is the oversight of various MDAs, including MPA, Meteorological Agency, who gives you the weather forecast, that crimes according to Section 17(1)(a) of the 1991 Constitution, environmental crimes of Sierra Leone, number 6 of 1991, are part of the most serious offenses in the country. So environmental crimes should be avoided, so that we make use of our environment. Let us avoid the fragile ecosystem. Let us avoid the wetlands. Let us avoid the Ramsar sites. Let us avoid the uphills. There are different uses of land that will not benefit us. But there are some uses you put your lands into that will not benefit you. You cannot benefit anything from encroaching into mangrove at Aberdeen and then construct in a house here. Only at the end of the sea rise we can hear of mortality. Don't involve in environmental crime. Don't also go up the hills. Avoid the hills, avoid the peninsula, so that you can clear the water catchment, and then we all suffer from water absorption from Buma. Against this background, I thank you all, and let us have passion for the ministry. Thank you very much.
I think he deserves another round of applause. You know, one thing I've learned from Mr. Brahma is not only technical, but he's inside. He's somebody that's so passionate about agriculture, food security issues, and even climate change. He has been in this space for over 25 to even 30 years. He has done extensive work around agroecology and forestry. But quick takeaway from the speech, he made mention of carbon sequestration. And now the EU have supported the ministry to develop a forest inventory. I think the trees that we planted as beggars will also contribute to the inventory. So let's give ourselves another round. And the benefits. Now we are talking about carbon credits. After that inventory, then we have the amount of hectares that we planted. Then we can do the calculations and get a strong point into our negotiations. So when the private sector or private investors want to come and buy the carbon credits, we'll have a strong standing point of negotiations. Let's give another round of applause for EU. And without wasting much time, it is important for us to know the background of FECAS. In as much as we have been involved into so many activities, but it's important, we have strangers here that never had FECAS, they don't know about what we have been doing. So I would like to use this opportunity to call on Mr. Wilfred Martin. I will give you 2 minutes to give a brief history of FECAS. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Salami. Thank you. Good afternoon, everybody. Everybody, we are welcome here. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, as Mr. Bernard was saying, FECAS, the Federation of Environment, Climate Action and Food Security, we are a diverse range of people, starting from farmers, researchers, scientists, NGOs, civil society. We are a broad spectrum of people who are very active in working on environmental action and also on food security. Our federation is a network of farmers, NGOs, and spread all across the 16 districts of Sierra Leone. The federation was born out of the National Tree Planting Project launched by His Excellency the President, retired Brigadier Julius Madabio in 2020 to plant 5 million trees in 5 years to mitigate the adverse effects of climate change. Our member organizations, as I said earlier, we are scattered all over the 16 districts of Sierra Leone. We are farmers, we are researchers, some people are teachers or they are active on the environment. Some people are civil society advocates, some are scientists, some are intellectuals, some are in academia, but they are also active on climate change. So we are a very broad spectrum of people who are very active on working on environment, climate action, and on agriculture. In 2020, over 200 member organizations were hired by the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change to plant 1,200,000 economic and forest trees, which was successfully implemented as was endorsed by Mr. Bernard during his presentation. Mr. Bernard said that the Federation has been very active since its inception. We have been very active. You know, we are in the front line in making sure we change the problem we are having on the environment and also to boost our food security. As I said earlier, most of our people are farmers. They are farmer-based organizations. They are ordinary farmers, but they are also very active on environmental issues. In 2022, the Ministry of Environment and Climate Change hired 138 service providers to plant 1,600,000 trees nationwide. That activity also was successfully implemented. It was monitored by the ministry and it was endorsed and it was evaluated, and the results are there to speak for itself. We wish to express our profound thanks and gratitude to the President for the bold step he took in addressing the aspects of climate change through tree planting. You know, our President, the President we're having, is a man who is very proactive. He was very, very proactive in creating the Ministry of Environment. And straight away, we started doing tree planting projects. So the President has been very proactive. We are going to name him as our chairman of FECAS in time to come. Very soon, we will visit him and tell him, Mr. President, if we are here today, if we have achieved this, it is through your initiative. It was out of that 200 member organizations that FECAS really originated from. As I said, our members are farmers, we are climate change advocates, and we are all over the country doing different activities in making sure we try to change the environment and boost our food security. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Well, let's give you begin another round. You know, this shows how serious collaboration is. When you have like-minded institutions coming together with an initiative of continuity, it speaks volume. And this is by complementing the efforts of the ministry. So I really want to thank the present president for this initiative and its members. The next on my agenda item is entertainment, but this entertainment is going to showcase on the mudslide. It's about us reflecting what took place in 2017, to show the seriousness of the climate emergency and to see how best we can able to bring up initiatives that can make us resilient. So I think it's better for us to actually reflect. So we'll give like 2 minutes for
the showcase of what happened in 2017. So this was the terrains that we experienced during that period of August 14th. And these are the hills within the Sugarloaf Mountain. Because of the intensity of the rainfall, and due to deforestation, because we cut down all the trees there, so there is greater exposure. So when we have a lot of precipitation of those rains, now the water have a runway, so it is easier for runoff activities within those areas. And because the normal threshold is 20 millimeters of rain for every 1 hour. If we experience more than 20 millimeters, there is high tendency for disaster to occur, either flash floods or flooding activities. So what you are seeing here, because of the high precipitation of that rainfall and the overburden, there are instability of that overburden, and there are no trees to actually make that kind of stability. So it is obvious, because of the scopy nature of that area, there was a mudslide. And this is not only the area that is exposed to issues of that. There are so many areas that we can Freetown. We have emerging areas also that have been classified as disaster hotspots. So what FEC has to be doing is not only to advocate, but we are also a think tank, a research-based tank. Our next course of actions that will be outlined in our strategic plan by the President very soon, we will showcase what we intend to do in the next 5 years. We will be doing intensive research to identify other hotspots. We develop maps, hazard maps, that will be presented to our government, that these are the new hotspot areas, that you need to take actions if you don't want to see loss of lives. Because you can see high weathering activities due to deforestation, organization is happening within these areas. So within the whole Freetown complex is exposed because there are ongoing glaciarization processes. What I mean, the rocks are becoming weathered, so they lack that kind of stability. And we are building in places that we're not supposed to be. We are cutting down trees. We are blocking the waterways. So there is a clear. There is a clear impact that these things will happen. And now if we can look at the return period, for the return period is supposed to be 5 years. For every 5 years, there should be projection of disaster. But the return period has actually reduced. Now we are expressing it for every 2 years. We expressed this one in 2017. And 2019 again, we expressed another disaster. 2021, we expressed another disaster. And now it has even changed. Now it's on a yearly basis. So this is for us to actually look at what happened in 2017. That Leone is vulnerable to the impact of climate change. And it is important that we are having the Federation now that will kickstart on concrete actions that will come with solutions, technical advice, and then with policy briefs for policy narratives. Because we have multilateral agreements that we signed from the UNFCCC, UNCBD. So these are obligations that we need to ensure that we meet. But we cannot meet this if we don't have the collective fight. So on the nutshell, this is what happened. We are in 1,000 lives we are lost in just 6 hours of rains. And from the World Bank assessment report, we lost over $30 million from these are economic loss. So what workers will also be doing after disaster, will be doing studies to show on the economic loss.
Now we have the whole funding mechanism that are being operationalized, and thankfully enough, COP28 captured that one. So we are also starting operationalization, and we'll also urge government to fast track on that one because we cannot wait. This is a moving train. So thank you very much for your time. So we are now moving to the most important session of this program. We cannot launch FECAS and leave it just like that. We believe for such a federation there should be a blueprint of what really we want to do. And for the next 5 years, we have our strategic plan of what we want to achieve for the next 5 years. This is a clear roadmap. Now, FECAS is here to stay. We are not like other institutions or other NGOs that will just launch and after 1 week or 2 weeks or even a month, a year, then it's gone. So the strategic plan is to tell the Ministry of Environment and the donor partners that we are here to stay and we are here to complement your efforts in ensuring that we have a resilient nation towards the rising impact of this climate emergency. Without much ado, I want to take this opportunity to call on the presidents of the Federation on Environment, Climate Action, and Food Security, also known as FECAS, and it's nobody else but the hardworking, dynamic, result-oriented, he is not a stranger into the fights. He is an economic fighter for Africa. He has represented Africa at the Springs meeting from World Bank, and he has also paved way for other civil society. I was also present at the World Bank Spring meeting on climate finance, and this opportunity was given to me by the president. So to see that he's somebody that can accommodate people, pave way for others, create ways that we can also collectively fight to the issues of climate change. So let's give him a round of applause here to welcome Mr.
Thank you very much, Salami. Firstly, I want to thank the FECAS, the Federation members, for giving me this privilege to lead you. I want to thank you, and I won't disappoint you. I want to. Yes, while we are doing that shift, I want this August meeting to understand that today we are going to launch FECAS by one of the directors, and we are also going to launch our 5-year strategy plan. So you will have to, and this is not just for you here, but it's for the public, it's for the international partners, it's for the donor partners, it's for the civil society, it's for the last farmers in the village to understand where FECAS is going and why we included, in fact, food security. Because the Ministry of Environment was just thinking that they are just our parents, they are the only parents that you have. Little did they know, in fact, Ministry of Agriculture, Feed Salon, they are envy to work with us. So I'll have to mix my presentation a little in Creole so the common man in the street can understand who are viewing this program. So firstly, you looked at FECAS, we observed that we planted, out of the 5 million trees, we planted about 2.8 million trees for 5 years in 4 years. 2.8, that's no small feat. Because of time, well, we have so many slides. So all of these people we are seeing here are researchers, farmers, so 2.8 million trees, not to 2,500, 2.8 million trees. So we have planted, Kenya has an agenda to plant about 50 million trees. I've been privileged to be at the World Bank IMF in Washington. I've led civil society sessions, but we want to see how we can bring the media. You see, Musa was talking about collaboration, international partners, the EU, and of course, with the government, because they are parents. So many of you may be wondering, what's the difference between Farmers Federation and FECAS? Farmers Federation deal with cash crop, short term. We deal with more economic trees, long-term trees to reforest the environment and mitigate climate impact. Yeah, so that's the difference. Also, I want to apologize for members. You know, we had this program like twice, which we could not. The second one, because of the political climate, our members came from the regions, from the district, and they went back. So we could not get all of them. So we just want to make a small program so we cannot defer the. So that's why we are seeing this. Of course, the COP. I spoke with Keko and Mr. Kanda Yukela. I spoke with the minister. They are now coming. In fact, the COP finished yesterday. And of course, you know, so most of them are not here. They are so one of them maybe apologized that we ship the program. We told them, no, we cannot. We have other people here, and people have to go. There are people who should travel back to the provinces. So we want to apologize for all this inconvenience, for not bringing these people, or if somebody think that, oh, I don't know who you want to do this here, we cannot, because we postpone it. And of course, gentlemen and ladies, again, let us give a standing ovation with the club. So we'll go commercial bank. They are partners, the sponsors, and of course the environment. We also want to thank the financial sector, Mr. Matutiji. The other day, the second phase of 138 SPs, we planted trees. To pay us was a very difficult task. Not the Minister of Environment. We have to go to hell and come back. We will give the challenges. So, we want to tell want to express our deepest appreciation to Mr. Matutiji, because of the financial sector. Want to tell profound gratitude. So, now, I want to give you the context. And especially we'll start with food security or feed salon. I don't say some food on top of the aim of feed salon. So no, first let's just look at the context. Yes, Ahmed. Slide 1, the brief background. You see, gentlemen and ladies, you will shock you to understand that Africa is nowhere a research think tank. Africa is a research think tank because we had Salam, we made presentations in Washington and so many places. So you find out that we are spending $6 billion, Africa, as a continent, for rice importation. And most of this rice contribute to cholesterol, high blood pressure, sugar sickness. So we are even buying our own death warrant. It is $6 billion for Africa. And part of the $6 billion, 2/3 of that importation comes from West Africa. Whether it's because of our diet, most of the East African countries we do basically call flour or corn or meat. We eat more rice. So we import $4 billion from West Africa. And part of that $4 billion, Sierra Leone consumes or spends about $200 to $300 million for rice importation. So let us understand the context first and know the problem. How much we bought our own death warrant? How much we have bought this top-class rice from Pakistan, from India? How much we are providing jobs for them? Because each and every time you import, you are providing, you are creating, you are giving them money. So that's the danger. So that's the context. So Salon, this is where we are. So of course the Italian, of course Italy, and of course. So let's go to the next slide. So the context. One is a feed salon can utilize 20 hectares of land. You know, the current capacity for any time you plant 1 hectare, all of you guys are farmers here, it would give you more than 1.2 tons of rice. So with that capacity, you cannot feed salon. With that, and we want to really make people understand, because it's a you know, most of our government are doing well. Sometimes the citizens we are suspicious of them, but some of them are this just because sometimes how to get the people grow into this agenda is a problem. So we want to really make feed salon simple, so people understand the context. He said by year 5. So meaning, feeders in the next 5 years want to ensure that for when you plant 1 hectare, when you utilize 1 hectare, what is an hectare? Hectare, and you say it's 1 field. For you, we don't know. Because if I'm a hectare, 1 hectare at 4 feet, because people are used to acre, not to acre. Hectare, like 11 inside stadium they play. Now 1 hectare down there, that make other people understand. Yeah? So when you plant 1 hectare, it will give you more than 1.2 tons. So now, Ficas is saying, if you want to feed salon, in the first year of feed salon project, you should be able, the government should be able to produce for any 1 hectare about 2 tons, year 1. And by year 5, which Ficas should be monitoring, we want to ensure that the government of feed salon or the machinery should be able to produce 1 hectare, should be able to produce 4 tons. It's not tons. Tons like 50 bag kilo in 20 bag, 9 and 1 ton. Yeah? For example, that's it. Say with the mechanized now, we want to see. So this is not about subsistence farming. What we've been doing, all of you. When we say government give us money, we go intercrop, we plant crop in between. No, we hire laborers. We call it jagaja. We pay laborers. No, this is mechanized farming. Mechanized. So we want to let people understand where the government is going and where the media, where our development partners, where you the farmers, where the private sector can intervene. How? This is not about government alone. And it is a must-win battle. It is a must-win for our generations to come. Let's go to the next slide. Now this is just the, what we call, in any production of rice, they are what we call supply chain. This is the supply chain for any rice production. What is supply chain? Supply chain is any network that moves this water from point A to point B. So if Millicent Koa is a farmer in Pujemo, it's not about how can this rice, how can she take this rice from Pujemo to Gulfport market? And that process is what they call supply chain. For instance, your phone. This phone, to manufacture this phone, it takes about more than 14 to 15 countries to produce the part and assemble them. So it's not just about one country that so the collection of that is what they call supply. So supply chain, look at the supply chain. And how one president will figures what will be monitored, what will be measuring is this. Stage 1, we talk about sales and input. In the right circle, there are 5 segments. We've done this presentation myself and Salami at the World Bank, in Washington, in Europe. 5 segments. Feeds and inputs. Segment 2, production and mechanization. I will explain, don't worry. That's what we're here. The 3rd segment is rice milling, packaging, storage and storage facility. The 4th segment is marketing and distribution. You see the different players. Gambia, cluster 5. Already, Mr. Masale and Mr. James, we already have an office. Thinkers, we already have an office at Gambia now. The Vice President paid the other day to monitor these 2 clusters. So we are going to ensure that we have offices in all of these 3 clusters. The last cluster is Gambia district.